My name is Bentroy, Njue, and Lensa Odingo will be our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. Let's keep it interactive. We are live on all our social media platforms. We begin at the UN, where the second session of the UN Habitat Assembly is set to take place in Nairobi from the 5th to 9th of June next month, and we'll see over 6,000 delegates from 193 member states converge in the country's capital. Key among discussions expected are affordable housing, urban climate action, localization of SDGs, as well as prosperity and local finance. The government of Kenya has expressed its readiness for the assembly, even as Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga called for urgent implementation of the assembly's resolutions.
It's all systems go for the second session of the UN Habitat Assembly, which Kenya will be hosting from the 5th to 9th of June next month, and over half of the 6,000 delegates expected have confirmed attendance.
There will also be a First Lady's high-level roundtable meeting to be held on the 6th of June from 10 to 1 p.m. And this will discuss the theme, Women Shaping Cities and Communities. And so far, 13 First Ladies have been invited to participate in the roundtable.
Discussions on urban housing are expected to take center stage, with the theme during this second assembly being sustainable urban future through inclusive and effective multilateralism, achieving sustainable development goals in times of global crisis. Housing PS Charles Hinga noting the success of Singapore's public housing as a good place to learn from.
They put their money where their mouths were. We continued talking. 60 years later, they have 85% of their people living in public decent housing. 60 years later, we have got over 1,400 slums in this country.
This is the opportunity to discuss the gaps, opportunities and actions that we should take to improve the quality of life for all.
Delegates will review major trends in human settlement and sustainable urbanization and recommend strategies for coherent implementation of urban human settlement in tandem with the Sustainable Development Goals and new urban agenda.
Achieving SDGs in times of global crisis is something that has got to be more than a talk show. It has to be a call for serious action.
The success of the assembly is not determined by the number of resolutions approved, but how many gets implemented.
The assembly is the second session after the inaugural session of the assembly held in June 2019 in Nairobi. Yusufar reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, the Josia Foster Care Institution is 80% complete. Principal Secretary, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs, Joseph Motari, who toured the facility, said once complete, the facility will be to accommodate abandoned children in Nairobi metropolitan area. According to Child Welfare Society Chief Executive Officer Irene Moreithi, the institution is being constructed on a 15-acre piece of land, which will also have a farm. 15 such facilities are being established to provide temporary accommodation for abandoned children.
Tumekuja leo hapa pamoja na timu yangu kuangalia hii Josia Foster Center ambayo inatakiwa kuwa ni ya kuweka watoto hapa, ambao iko katika Child Welfare Society of Kenya. Hii ni institution ambayo imekuwa na maneno mingi hapa na pale, lakini leo nimesema mimi mwenyewe kama PS nikuje niangalie ni nini inaendelea hapa.
This facility will be able to take care of the children in this region, the whole of this region, all the way from the Nairobi area, generally the Nairobi metropolitan. This is a facility for care for the government. We have about 15 facilities in Kenya. Like we said, our PS has already said. We have the transitional center in Turkana. We have a facility in Kisii in the western region. They are basically legionary placed.
And also the
That one is another motion.
The upcoming one.
Yes.
Let's now cross over to State House, Nairobi, where PS Hinga, the PS for Housing, is currently speaking. Let's first of all listen in.
Yeah, and actually, if you are in Mwingi, they will have to be produced in Mwingi because we want to create local jobs, not jobs in Nairobi. Okay? And now think about housing as a long supply chain. So it is actually good economics. And what we have said is, what is it that we can be able to contribute together so that we create these stimulus into the economy, and incomes are going to rise and more jobs are going to be created, and we attract foreigners to come and bring in the dollars that we need. You know, the dollars we have a shortage of dollars. But I have got over 200 investors, and all they are saying is, if you give me an off-take plan, because I don't believe in your story. Your story is a very emotional story about Wanjiko owning a home, about the Juakali artisan owning a home, a Shushaina owning a home. But hey, my money is not emotional. All right? So me, I just want to know that I'll get paid. And how do you guarantee that they will get paid? You can tell them, if you tell them that you're going to get paid, it becomes a government guarantee, which is as good as debt. And you know what is going on, the conversation we're having about debt in our country. So we are saying these cash flows that we have pulled together, and they are driven by a law, but are not bankrupting people, because we are saying it is maximum of 2,500. Average Kenyan will pay 1,000. You tell me today, how many houses can you be able to get for 1,000 shillings? So this 1,000 shillings, you're taking it out of this pocket and you're putting it into this pocket. You're not 1,000 shillings richer or poorer. The only difference is that in this pocket, you can only earn 7% if you put it in or whatever. In this pocket, you can walk away with a house, whereby, just like the gentleman from KBC has said, that the person now is getting rent at 55,000 and you're paying 19. The hustler now can be able to do that. Okay, so and it's a very good question, and I'm sure a question that we need to talk about. Building materials. You know, we are providing building materials, especially in the rural areas. So if you want to go build your own home in the rural areas, come to us. We have housing directories in every county. We'll give you even plans to go build your own home. But even this housing fund, we will finance you still. So providing building materials, all it helps us to do, for example, in Kisii, because they make those blocks, but they use firewood to burn those bricks. We have given them machines called hydroform machines, interlocking soil block machines, so that now they press those machines, but we have still not answered the question, how will they finance? So the housing fund addresses both. Flora, TV 47. I think I've answered the question about the portal. Okay, so there is a portal. The portal, Boma Yangu, please, and it is still under construction. So there are some places you will go and you say it is coming up. Even diaspora. Those of us who will watch this from diaspora, there is a diaspora tab for you. It is a marketplace for everybody. So we have aggregated buyers. I have over 350 Kenyans today that have registered. And since we started this conversation, we are getting almost 5,000 every other day registering. Number two, if you're a developer, you also go on Boma Yangu. You list your project so that you don't have to leave there and come to the office and ask, Hinga, nyumba ziko wapi? You just go click and you see where the developments are coming up. And then the choice is yours. Where do you want that home? And you tell us. And I think the question about the contributors at the bottom, in terms of broadening. Now, let me tell you what is going to happen. You see, why I am struggling, or why we are struggling with this housing fund, because of three things. One, trust deficit. And I know that question is coming up. It's about trust deficit. So this program, we must put in enough safeguards so that we can be able to win the trust. Number two is believability. And that's why we had to do the pilot, because instead of Hinga talking to you, I want you to go and interview the Shushaina. I have 8 touts who are homeowners in Park Road. Go interview them. Why? Because now it starts to become real. It's not that Hinga is piki ponki anasema huyu ni wangu ama Hinga amepata pesa kidogo hapa hivi anasema. I have no powers to allocate those houses. So it is important that for the people who are in the informal, the minute they see that there is trust and they need the homes even more, because they're the ones who are in the slums, they're the ones who are in the tenements. They will actually out-contribute us for two reasons. A, there are many, because there are about 18 million of them versus 3. Those who are in the formal. 2, they want to save as much, like Kigadi and his team from the Matatu. They're saving 300 shillings a day. You're saying you save 1,000. And I think that is how we're going to broaden this thing. And you will see we will be able to transform this country because we came collectively together. You people belong to us. Why do we come together? It's because there is a power of pooling money. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Chemutai going from Citizen TV, and I have maybe about 3 questions. One would be, the social housing program has been used by many developed nations, and for instance, the United States, in New York, Harlem, and Brooklyn, there was construction of various, housing units, but the government also went in to have a subsidized rate that was available for.
That's a joint presser by State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed, flanked there by Housing PS Charles Hinga, responding to questions mostly from journalists in regards to the 3% housing levy, and is drumming up support for the housing levy proposed by the president, saying that it's going to be a game changer. The Boma Yangu project that is being supported by the government, and has also added that the interlocking blocks technology is going to be bringing down the cost of building the houses, and telling Kenyans to seize this opportunity to have their own house. Of course, it's something that has generated a lot of debate, and in our subsequent bulletin we will be having a more comprehensive report on the same. Let's move on. Scores of residents of Wangige in Kiambu County have lost huge sums of money to a man who has been operating an illegal law firm under unclear circumstances. The man, who was running a law office using the name of a registered advocate, was confronted by officials of the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, and handed over to Kingero police station. Unsuspecting clients have been flocking to the Quack's lawyer's office, located on the first floor of a building in the town, to seek legal services, and in the process losing their hard-earned cash.
Able to nab that gentleman. He has been put in custody. He shall be arraigned in Queen Law Court for the charges of pretending to be an advocate. So it's a very unfortunate turn of event. Everyone, all stakeholders from the police, members of the public, to be very vigilant when it comes to people who are offering legal services. So we want to reassure the members of the public that the LSK is very firm when it comes to protecting the space of practice, and we shall not allow people who are not licensed to practice or offer legal services.
The dangers of engaging a quack. One of the key points that it always baffles us how we can help the public once they fall prey is, once a matter you have taken to this quack does not go as you anticipated, and you come and report to us. When you take up this matter and we forward it to the disciplinary tribunal, unfortunately you will not be able to be helped because this person is not an advocate and is not in our database.
And after that report from Wangige in Kiambu County, we now go back to State House Nairobi to get more on the housing fund.
We have been going out to the market and getting about 1.8 trillion in, as we speak now. If we were to go back to the market, how much would it have cost to achieve these projects? Number 2, there's a time I remember, again, at one of the functions, you spoke about regulating rental charges in the country to be able to sort of remove that pressure in terms of get a number of people who can pay a little more away from the slums. How far are you with us? Have you gone with that? Now, the next question is on the issue of the 7 years. Now, what happens after 7 years? I've been contributing for 7 years. I want to get my money out. What happens after that? Do I still get to contribute afresh? And if it's, again, we've seen this trend where you have been contributing, for instance, NSSF, but then when you go to get to collect your money, it becomes another nightmare because of the bureaucracy in government, and also the status of the housing market. A lot of developers are saying just make the market make it a bit sustainable for us. Make sure that you zero rate, let's say, some of these materials, and we'll be able to put out those affordable housing. So what's happening around that?
My name is Elvis Omondi from Biblia Usema Broadcasting and
from
Biblia Usema Broadcasting.
Biblia.
Yes, I have two questions. One pertaining to the closest we have to affordable housing units is high rise near Kibra, and when you look at high rise, the most prospering business apart from food is water and honeysuckers. This is because the infrastructure there was not considered, and most of the people who would want to buy these affordable housing units are questioning, will I buy this unit and live in a place where I still buy water to flush my toilet, or where I still have to pay service charge to get my toilet, honeysuckers to get out there? And my second question is on the 7 years. You've explained a lot the nitty-gritty of this project, but I still don't understand. What is the science behind 7 years? Why not 8? Why not 3? What is the science behind this 7 years?
Let's give another person a chance behind there, then we answer those.
Good afternoon. My name is Fred Muli, Sango FM, Kamba Radio Station. I have only one question.
Sorry, Muli from?
Sango FM. Yes.
Sango.
With the kind of resistance the project is getting from the citizens and also from the other side of political view, does the government have any plans to sensitize on the same project?
Thank you very much. Very good questions. Chemutai, social housing, New York, subsidized for rental. Our plan, 91% of Kenyans in Nairobi, they rent today. 91%, that's our statistic in 2017. So I'm sure it's probably more. Our plan is to subsidize the rent, but through a rent-to-own structure. Okay? That is our plan. And that is why we are saying you will get a home for 5,000 shillings. You will get a home for 10,000 shillings under the affordable housing program at 15,000 shillings. If you're in the social housing, you will pay 2,500 for one-roomed house. You will pay 4,500 for a two-roomed house, and you will pay 6,500 for a three-roomed house. But that house, you will rent and you will own. The question that we get is, why own? And we ask the question, do Kenyans rent because they like to rent, or they rent because they cannot afford to own? And as I said, it's a dialogue, and I'm sure you have the answer. 2 billion. First of all, the 1.5 we never collected. So that's the first fact. The 2 billion that was saved is slightly less. That's what I talked about, the 1.8 billion. Is still in our bank account at KCB. It is still available. And the people who saved there, because the criteria for allocation, because I'm surprised nobody has asked, it is what we call fast past the gate. What is fast past the gate? One, you must have raised 10% deposit for that unit. Number two, you must go to Boma Yangu and you must fill in. There's certain information that we need. And luckily with the e-citizen, I don't need to ask for your marriage certificate. I don't need to ask for your birth certificate, because all those things we now are going to integrate with them. So you just register and then you start saving. *823#. That is the beginning of that journey. So those who have that 2 billion, and it is their money, that is voluntary. Okay, majority of them have said, I don't want to take that money out, because now that I see Starehe is coming up, I want to be fast past the gate. Okay. What has been launched? We can provide you through, I'm sure you through your WhatsApp group, we can be able to provide you with an update. But as Hussein said, it's 36 years.
36,000.
36,000. That is under construction, because please, let's understand, construction takes time. So even when we say 200,000, we are saying we will start 200,000 projects, units. Okay, so by the time you start saying you're finishing, maybe give us a headroom of about 2-3 years. So now the first 200 are coming up, and then thereafter you can say there is consistent coming in. But when you're starting from a base of zero, you have to build them. And because a lot of people, the same friends of ours who you invite there, they like to take cheap shots. That akina Hinga watajenga nyumba in one day. What is it? How soon can I get that? The list? Huh?
It's just about if you opt in now, if the finance bill goes through.
Yes.
How soon can one?
There is construction that is already going on. So already, please, and we are telling you, just start the journey today. Go and star 832#, start saving your money, and as soon as those units are complete, and continue saving. And remember, the 1,000 is the minimum, or the 2,500, that's the minimum. The more you save, the more it means when the deposit is required, you will have it. So we're just saying, put the kidogo ile amount, which is our offtake plan, but please save as much as possible. Imagine downjimwagilia sasa. Mushiri, NTV, I have no clue about what you've spoken about. That is a private project. I do not have any information I've heard from you for the first time. So allow me not to comment on something that I have no idea about. Thank you. Jim Bogo, I know you interviewed me once. I think you were at K24 then. Good. KICC. In the Jubilee government, our plan was 500,000 homes at an average of about 2 million plus. It was coming to that 1.4 trillion. Now, with Kenya Kwanza, our plan is 1 million units in the next 5 years. So just double that and add a little bit of a factor, because when we were doing that, steel was still very low. Now it has gone up. But we're doing it via PPP. So we're not borrowing the money. We're not borrowing the money. We are doing what you do every other place. We changa, and we build these houses. We get other people to bring their money to build. Please don't forget about that, because this will attract foreign money to come into this country. And please, you don't need to be an economist to understand this. This is common sense economics. Hii ingine ni story too. Regulating rental charges. There is a landlord and tenants bill that is before Parliament. It was sent back up. It addresses some of these issues about the regulation of tenants. So it is still a bill, and we hope, because now there is goodwill, it's one of the bills that we can be able to get completed. 7 years, very good question. What happens? You see, if you have not retired, 7 years is an event where you can opt to take out your money. You can opt to transfer that money to your pension. You can opt to transfer that money to your kijana or your msichana. You can even bequeath it to your house help, because amekusaidia kulea watoto, unasema wacha wewe, mimi niko na nyumba, wacha nikupatie. It is absolutely your money. But if you have not yet retired, you continue. But you have an exit at that point. Okay? So you contribute afresh. Collection is an issue. Okay, I think you asked about when it comes to. Yes. You collect. Okay, yes. Collection of your money. So you want to exit. So first of all, let's put some context into place. Number one, it is our desire that you get a unit as opposed to getting that money back. Why? Because even if you own a home today, as I said, and you get a unit that is 60% discounted, it is good investment decision. So, but if you have to take it out, let me put context to you. 2,500 a month in 7 years is only 210,000. That's what I need to pay you in 7 years. 210,000. So it's not millions that you'll have saved. it's 210. For average Kenyan who is going to be contributing 1,000 shillings and below, that is 84,000. Okay? So, and that's why we are saying let's put context. You see, 210 that you want to take out in that place versus getting a unit that is 60% subsidized. The idea is to incentivize you to get it. But however, if you want to get it out, you will get out your portion. The employer portion stays in. Because the employer portion is the one that protects the capital of the fund. So that if now there are obligations for the fund, we are supposed to keep those that kind of money. But after 14 years, you can now exit your employer portion as well, or if you die. So, but if you die or retire, you get both. The employer portion and your portion. But if you want to exit, at the very least, I give you back what you've saved. Status zero rate. What is this? What you asked about zero rate? Yeah, so we have zero rated the VAT. That's the most expensive issue that we have because VAT in our sector is a real cost. And as I said, our railway development levy, income, what do you call this? Import declaration, whatever, is also lower. And also, when for the developer, and maybe some of you are developers, if you develop 100 units and below, you pay tax at 15% as opposed to 30%. Elvis. So closest to AHP is high rise. That's what you're saying. But I say no. The closest to AHP is Park Road. Please. I have just given you the details about Park Road. Hapo high rise, hawana fiber huko ndani. Huko Park Road, huyo shusha anaishi mahali kuna park. Kuna CCTV. Akona maji ndani ya nyumba. They have boreholes. Plus they have electricity, they have emergency generator. My friend, you don't associate those things, amenities, with those kind of houses. So please, let's use the right base to compare. And you put a very good point, which I forgot to say. You will pay service charge. Let me tell you, service charge is important because that is your house. You see, the conversation is owners. Service, you will form your own body corporate. Iyo, Park Road body corporate, ile ingine, Starehe body corporate. Nyinyi wenyewe, you will have to pay service charge so that you are able to maintain those lifts. Otherwise, my friend, utaenda 18 floors. Na back, utakuwa ni shida. Muli, spot on. The resistance. And let me tell you, and that is why I am so happy that we're having this conversation with yourselves. And after this, we are hitting the ground so hard because we believe, and you can see this is a very difficult job, by the way, let me tell you. It's very difficult. To get this thing off the ground is very difficult. You must be a believer in this thing. And our president is a believer in this. That's why his DNA there is housing. It's because he knows what we need to do. But let me tell you, we have a good product. What I have shown you here in this detail, this is a good product where you are told instead of paying 7.6, pay 3. Instead of paying 15% interest, pay 5. Instead of paying 10 years and you pay 111,000, pay 19,000. It is a good plan. Our biggest challenge, and this is where, because you are Kenyans too, and I know majority of you here, and I wish that you in the fourth estate could be the first people that buy these houses because you become better evangelists on our behalf. And you're Kenyans too. So let me tell you what we need. We need to do is, yes, please, let's disagree where we have to disagree. But let's not beat this thing so hard that you want to have it fail. Because if it fails, we have not sorted out the economics of the country. We have not sorted out the housing issue. We have not sorted out the urbanization issue. So this is a conversation that we should be able to look at each other in the eyes and say, watu wanatuambia ni shilingi 1,000. Hiyo mimi nimekubali. Wacha niweke hiyo 1,000. If you're going to guarantee me, we're going to stop these slums from coming up. If I'm going to have a decent home. So our biggest challenge as government, wacha niwaambie a secret, is that there's so many good things that we do. We have no good capacity to be able to tell the public about it. And so we get defined by the bad ones. Ile sukari sijui ilikuwa sijui ilifanya nini. Sasa hivi watu wengi wanafikiria mambo ya sukari ambayo sijui ilikuwa ime nini. That's what you think. Government is synonymous to scandals. But there's so many good things that we are doing. And that's why, please, if you believe the plan is good, we want you to also become our ambassadors. We are going to do serious public participation everywhere in this country, in every channel, so that the resistance can go down. After that interview on Spice FM, I can tell you, a lot of people said, I understand. After Hussein said it's 2,500, pressure ikakuja chini. When the president explained to the Kenya Kwanza MPs yesterday, it is only 2,500 maximum. Pressure ikaisha kwa sababu walikuwa nadhani watakato 300,000. So let's communicate and assist us and accuracy. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll just take 2 more questions from those who haven't spoken. So the 2 gentlemen there.
And we will come in mkono kitambo. Na hapa huyu wacha okay so.
My name is Ezra, Ngemi FM, KBC. I want to get the simple mathematics about the Housing Development Fund. If we are planning to build 200,000 houses per year, each house may require 2.5 million. If you translate this, will be less than 500 billion per year. How are you able to raise the surplus amount? Then there's the issue of the 7-year. One you want to opt out from the Housing Development Fund. In each fund, there must be some interest. The interest rate is very silent.
Housing and Urban Development PS Charles Hinga, flanked there by State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed there, shedding light in regards to the housing fund as proposed by President William Ruto, talking about this is a fund that will be able to change the fortunes of Kenyans and asking Kenyans to fully support it, actually even asking the media to be evangelists of that by purchasing the units. A lot of questions being asked by journalists there to shed light in regards to the 3% fund that will be, if at all, it is in the budget, that if at all it is passed by Parliament, then it will be a levy that will be charged for all salaried employees, just to step up what the head of state talked about and the Charles Hanks talked about being in the President's DNA to ensure that we have enough units, not only to live in, but also as investments. Well, that takes us to our first breather. We'll be right back with more news.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya missed call, bonyeza *811 *961#.
Juzi mimi ninakuja, ninatoka nje, ninawacha simu hapo. Nikirudi kutoka raundi napata 4 missed call ya kutoka kwa bibi. Nikimuuliza ulikuwa unapiga unasema nini? Ananiambia eti alikuwa ananipigia, aniambie nimesahau simu. Kumbe bibi ananipenda na mimi.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya missed call, kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *961#. *811 *961#.
Wewe usishike simu yangu bwana, umesikia?
Manake mimi askari wako walipa shilingi ngapi?
I'm not going, I'm here to stay. You leave this house.
Hauna shughuli zingine za kufanya?
I am a man of few words.
Kisha nikome.
Beno.
Mimi.
Yes, you go.
Na mke mwingine Mike naye huyu. Nenda polisi lakini.
Una kilo kitani.
Heshima unipi Mike.
Bafu sana.
Now there are just 2 teams left. The cup holders take on Eintracht Frankfurt.
What's the header? Danny Olmo.
The Red Bulls.
And DK!
Against the Eagles. It's all or nothing time.
It's Soboslai again.
Kick-off on June 3rd.
Canada!
There can only be one winner.
Colomwani. What a night for RB Leipzig.
Leipzig-Frankfurt, the DFB Cup final.
Welcome back. Let's move on. Kirinaga County Government has set aside 53.2 million shillings to be distributed to farmers under the third phase of Wezesha program. Governor Njue says the fund to be given through farmers groups will benefit 146 farmers.
Speaking at the Kirinaga County headquarters in Kutus, where she released the funds, Governor Njue revealed that through Wezesha, her administration has disbursed 344.3 million Kenyan shillings to farmers, with 225.3 million Kenyan shillings supporting 619 groups of farmers engaged in tomato, dairy, avocado, poultry, beekeeping, fish, pig and dairy goat farming.
This launch marks a huge milestone towards the achievement of our vision of being a county enjoying improved productivity through the maximum realization of its potential for sustained economic, social and political development.
The Wezesha Kirinaga Empowerment Program, which is supported through the National Agricultural Rural Inclusive Growth, currently in its third phase, endeavors to financially empower locals.
The project aims at empowering the beneficiaries to make at least 1,000 shillings per day.
The governor has now...
At the same time, the governor launched the county's third integrated development plan that seeks to increase income from improved and efficient agricultural productivity, market access, product marketing, and competitive market prices. For Lunchtime News, I'm Zainab Said.
From Kirinaga to the coastal county of Kilifi, where the county government spends 1.5 million shillings every month in salaries for 100 ghost workers. A report by a task force on human resource commissioned by the county government cited a huge discrepancy in personnel management, with many employees unaccounted for. Speaking upon receiving the report, Gideon Mungaro, who is the governor, undertook to have a meeting to consider the recommendations proposed by the task force and come up with an action plan to ensure smooth operations in the county.
There is also irrational recruitment and posting of staff. The recommendation that we made, there should be rationalization and harmonization of all HR processes.
Within the data that we collected, we looked at the terms of reference, the type of staff that we have at the county. We had 886 casuals who were being paid by the county. Within that, we also had staff that were on contract terms, and of importance, the staff that were on probation. On probation means that this person has been employed, but they are yet to be confirmed.
How do we have people in the payroll, but we can't find them? And probably also to find that one person whose gender is not known.
In other news, the Commission on Revenue Allocation intends to increase funds allocated to Samburu County to facilitate infrastructure development. Speaking while on an assessment tour in the county, CRA Chairman Koitamet Olekina said Samburu lags behind due to poor road network and insecurity. His sentiments were echoed by local leaders from the area. And first of all, we do apologize for that hitch in that earlier story. But moving on, conservationists in Watamu have organized a mountain bike racing competition to raise funds for the conservation of Arabuko Sokoke, East Africa's largest coastal forest. Arocha Kenya, a Christian conservation organization in partnership with Turtle Bay Resort, together with different sponsors, hosted over 74 bikers from all over the country and foreigners in the 72-kilometer race dubbed Arabuko Sokoke MTB Challenge. The race kicked off at Turtle Bay, Watamu at exactly 7 a.m. to Gede, Kakuyuni, Mogotini, then inside the Arabuko Sokoke forest.
To try and raise funds for conservation of Arabuko Sokoke forests, and particularly helping kids living around the forest who can't access secondary school fees very easily. And we'll link those bursaries with conservation action for the forest. We commit to sponsoring children for 4 years through their secondary school, and many of these children cannot afford school at all. When we started the scheme, only 8% of kids were actually attending secondary school. The rest were not going. 92% would not go to school because they couldn't afford. So we've been grateful to have a very positive impact on the communities around. There's been a real change in attitude and behavior of the families who've received that sponsorship and assistance. And as a result, we've seen the forest conservation and protection be improved.
And still on conservation, 2 suspects are in custody in Machakos town after being arrested for being in possession of over 350,000 pieces of assorted plastic bags which they were selling at the Machakos main market. The duo was apprehended in a joint operation of the police and National Environment Management Authority officers acting on a tip-off.
Machakos County Director for Environment Panuel Simitu, while addressing the press at Machakos Police Station, said the 2 suspects were apprehended in an ongoing operation to nab those still engaged in the trade of single-use plastic bags.
We will continue with this kind of enforcement until we wipe out all plastic bags in Kenya. NEMA is committed, we are serious, and we will do whatever it takes to ensure that we finish all the banned plastic bags in our ban, and we will book them, and we will ensure that they appear in court to answer charges of using banned plastic bags.
Simitu added that the operation will be extended to all major towns to ensure the business does not thrive.
We also have other plastic bags coming through our borders. All of them, we will pursue them, and we are pursuing them. We are using all the method to ensure that we wipe out plastic bags, all of them. And we want to certainly warn them. Those people who are bringing plastic bags here, or who are manufacturing plastic bags, we will get hold of them, and they will face the law.
Kenya banned the use of plastic bags in the year 2017. Since then, NEMA has been working to ensure the law is enforced to the latter. Michael Moniga for Lunchtime News.
Moving on, stakeholders in Laikipia County have launched a new initiative toward rescuing the youth from the shackles of illicit brew and narcotics. The joint initiative by school administrations, national administration officers, NGAO, community-based organizations and tertiary institutions involves the identification and development of talent to reduce idleness among youngsters.
Tumeona vijana wengi wameangamia kwa mambo ya ulevi, mambo ya hii madawa ya kulevya, vitu kama hizo. Kwa hivyo nafikiria kwa leo tumeweza kuzungumza na wao, na wengi naona wameichukua positively. Manake wengine wanaingia kwa hii mambo ya anaza dunia bila kujua. Wengi wao ni wale wanakosa ule mtu wa kuwapatia mwelekeo.
We had brought together boys from Liki Village, Majengo, and within Nanyuki. Our main purpose of bringing the boys together was to mentor them, to encourage them, to show them that there is life even after school.
We were here to encourage our boy child that we are here to walk the journey with them. We've seen that most of them have engaged so much into drugs, and also we've forgotten to mentor them on mental health and all these issues. But today we are telling them that we are here.
Hii imekuwa hafla ya kufana sana. Tulikuwa tumealikwa hapa tuweze kuzungumza na vijana, tupatie maadili ambayo yanaweza kuwezesha maisha yao kuwa ya kuaminika baadaye na kujitegemea pia.
Let's now do business. Kenya will import 180,000 tons of sugar outside member states of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi says the move is aimed at cushioning sugarcane farmers to increase their production following a shortage of the commodity, which has pushed the price of sugar up. Meanwhile, Kenya has won the bid to host the 2026 World Potato Congress. The conference, themed Developing Global Potato Partnerships for Enhanced Food Systems, Food Security and International Trade, seeks to facilitate communication and information sharing throughout the world potato community.
Today, because of that problem of the sugar prices in the market, we are going to authorize the importation of 180,000 metric tons into the country to cushion the sugar consumers from the high or skyrocketing prices of sugar. That is what we are doing. It's a decision which is really unfortunate, because we need to be crushing sugar from within the country that should be able to sustain our market.
Nairobi, Kenya, has been chosen as the site for its 2026 World Potato Congress. The proposed theme for this event is developing global potato partnerships for enhanced food systems, food security, and international trade.
From potato to petroleum now, where senators are questioning the transparency in the disbursement of proceeds from the sale of crude oil from Turkana County during the early oil pilot scheme. Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Davis Chilchil says the early oil pilot scheme was not commercial production. There was no cash to be shared out as laid out in the Mining Act.
Why did the ministry decide to sell the crude oil while they know very well that it was not viable? It was they were selling it at loss. That is the question, Mr. Speaker, we are asking.
There was no profit oil. If anything, the IOC is owed 23.7 million on account of the early oil project scheme, and therefore there was no excess funds to be shared in this early oil project scheme in line with the provision of the Act.
Away from that, businesses in Kisumu should position themselves to reap from opportunities from the forthcoming music concert that will be headlined by Jamaican reggae star Richie Spice. Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o says the music concerts slated for this weekend will showcase the lakeside city as a tourism and entertainment hub. Kisumu has in the recent past hosted various events including the Fish Fiesta and Afro Cities.
By featuring Richie Spice, the county government is using this concert as one of its strategies to showcase our destination's unique identities and promoting our tourism signature products, highlighting distinct diversities and heritage, while making it more appealing to visitors who are interested in both new, existing, and unforgettable experiences. Overall, the first-time historic concert will be a highly effective platform for promoting our destinations and tourism, and for opening up Kisumu as an entertainment hub, showcasing our local culture, creating a sense of community, and generating excitement and interest among potential visitors.
Now, the Tanzanian government has launched a database for tea stakeholders that will help identify farmers and get important information relating to their activity so as to improve production of the cash crop in the country. The database will also help to know the size of their farms and the distance from their farms to the factory, as well as knowing what they produce. Here are more details of this story and other stories in our African Business News Wrap.
The Minister for Agriculture, Hussein Bashe, says the database will improve tea production by providing farmers access to information such as better farming methods and appropriate data on tea harvests. The system will also help the government allocate and distribute subsidized agricultural inputs to farmers. Further, the government is implementing strategies to increase production by encouraging the revival of farms, encouraging the establishment of industries, strengthening the provision of extension services, as well as improving road infrastructure in tea-producing areas. Meanwhile, the rush by exploration companies searching for oil and gas deposits in northern Zimbabwe has raised concerns over possible neglect of the environment, with activists fearing that lack of accountability will spawn a resource curse. Invictus Energy, a firm listed on the Australia Securities Exchange, announced that samples from its first test well near the Mozambican border with Zimbabwe confirmed the presence of light oil, gas condensate and helium. Although the exploration of oil and gas is still at an early stage, observers say Zimbabwe's lack of strong instruments to enforce accountability in the extractive sector will make it difficult for the country to benefit from the resource. Finally, insurance companies and unit trust funds have emerged as big winners in Uganda tax proposals for the next financial year, even as firms providing digital services and VAT payers face high expenses. Under the new tax policy proposal submitted to Parliament, ZEB Re will enjoy withholding tax exemptions on reinsurance premiums collected from Ugandan insurers, withholding tax reliefs on investment incomes and in Uganda, and VAT exemption. The proposals are also scrapping a new income tax that had been introduced on unit trust funds. Interest earned from unit trust funds is currently exempt from income tax, but the new proposal provides 10 to 15% withholding tax on interest earned from funds held by members.
Further afield, China's pet industry is booming, with more diversified customers willing to pay for their beloved pets. Many businesses have emerged to cater to rising demand in the market, such as the new service occupations and the manufacturing of pet-inspired decorations and toys. Here are the details of this and more in our news from across the world.
The industry reached about $69 billion in 2022, an increase of 25% year on year, and the market size is expected to exceed $114 billion in 2025. In addition, many foreign pet enterprises are attracted by the Chinese market, which is set to grow at a faster pace in the coming years. Companies in the pet industry are exploring new market opportunities, such as establishing a series of services like dog training and even related accommodation for animals. Others are focusing on pet weight management that is gaining popularity as customers demand for specialist services to help their cats, dogs, and other household companions maintain a healthy weight with carefully calibrated diet and exercise plans. Elsewhere, Japan's real wage growth is expected to return to the positive territory later this year as prices stabilize and the largest pay hikes in 3 decades boost consumer purchasing power. The 1.8% decline in wages during the last fiscal year, which ended in March, was the largest drop since fiscal 2014, as rising prices across much of Japan's economy outpaced nominal pay gains. Inflation-adjusted pay is expected to keep falling from year-earlier figures in the 6 months through September. Inflation is expected to cool down from October this year, as rising prices for imported goods settle down. Finally, U.S. money market fund assets hit a new record of $5.8 trillion this week as yield-hungry investors continue to turn to short-term debt securities, a stark contrast to the 2011 debt ceiling standoff when there were large outflows from the funds. Money market mutual funds, a key source of short-term corporate and municipal funding, have enjoyed $614.8 billion in net inflows so far this year, with $48 billion of those over the past week. Money market funds today offer yields of as much as 5% compared with banks' products, which generally yield less than 1%. Recent bank failures have also prompted investors to move cash from bank accounts to money funds.
And in sports, Spanish champions Barcelona suffered a humiliating 3-1 defeat at the hands of Real Valladolid, which is seeking to drag themselves out of the relegation zone. Meanwhile, Real Sociedad beat Almeria 1-0 to move a step closer to Champions League football for the first time in a decade.
Real Valladolid's campaign to remain in the Spanish league next season was boosted after beating Spanish champions Barcelona 3-1. Elsewhere, a first-half strike by Takefusa Kubo and Real Sociedad a vital 1-0 win against Almeria. Sociedad are now one win away from qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in a decade. Meanwhile, Valencia have been sanctioned with a partial stadium closure for 5 matches and a €45,000 fine following the racist abuse of Real Madrid's forward Vinicius Jr. Spanish police have also detained 3 people in connection with the abuse. Spanish Football Federation said that Vinicius Jr. will not be suspended after being sent off in the 1-0 defeat by Valencia. This means they will be available for tonight's game against Rayo Vallecano.
That's all the time we had for KBC Lunchtime News this Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. For more news, you can check out our socials and also check out our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Bentroy Njue. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. Wishing you a blessed afternoon.